Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room as we look back at another fantastic sporting weekend. And what a good sporting weekend it turned out to be, especially for Carlos Alcaraz. He's warned his Wimbledon rivals. He feels great on grass after the world number two defied his own expectations and won the Queen's Club title for a second time. He battled to a bruising 7-5, 6-7, 6-2 victory over the Czech world number 30, Yuri Lechka. In the final of the Wimbledon warm-up event yesterday, the 22-year-old has extended his career-best winning streak now to 18 matches, putting him in the perfect position to defend his Wimbledon title starting next week, Monday. Qualifying starts at Wimbledon today. Alcaraz, who won the French Open, the Rome Masters and Queens during his run, the five-time Grand Slam champion arrived in West London concerned about his ability to make the tricky transition from the clay court season to the unique demands of the brief grass campaign. Underlining the difficulty of the task, Alcaraz is the first player to win Roland Garros and Queens back-to-back since Rafael Nadal in 2008. For a player raised on the clay courts of Spain, Alcaraz has become a formidable force on the lawns of Queens and Wimbledon. He is the third Spanish man, to win 4 grass court tournaments after Nadal and Feliciano Lopez. What I think is going to really help him so much is that he came through some incredibly close encounters in this tournament. Earlier in the week, he went through an over 3-hour event on grass, which is almost unheard of. In fact, in his interview after the match, his comment was quite humorous, where he went, "Was that on clay or grass?" Anyway, he went back to Ibiza. He had a holiday. This time he won't have an opportunity before Wimbledon starts next Monday. He does plan to relax as much as possible in London before focusing on his bid for a third successive All-England club crown. The former world number one did have a bit of a party after his epic 5-set French Open title triumph in June against Yannick Sinner earlier this month. Alcaraz believes that the defeat that he had at the Miami Masters was a transformative moment in his season. So well done to him. Also on grass this weekend, Kazakh Alexander Bublik achieved his first win in 7 meetings against Russian Daniil Medvedev and claimed his second title on grass in Halle a week before Wimbledon. Bublik, ranked 45 in the world, claimed the scalp of the world number one Yannick Sinner in the second round. 28-year-old maintained his winning streak, 6-3-7-6 in 1 hour and 22 minutes in his first clash on grass with the third-seeded Medvedev. Thanks to his second trophy after 2023 and 5th ATP Tour title overall, Bublik will move to 30th in today's ATP rankings, while Medvedev, who was playing in his first final in 15 months, will move to number 9. So well done to him for victory in the tournament there. Now, the ladies were also in action, and quite a few of them, to be perfectly honest. Let's start off with former Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrousova. She needed 3 sets to subdue the Chinese qualifier Wang Jinyu, win the Berlin Open title, completing an improbable run to her first trophy since her London triumph 2 years ago. The 25-year-old Czech ranked 164th in the world after an injury-plagued 12 months and featuring in her first final since winning Wimbledon 2 years ago, saved 6 set points in a tight first-set tiebreak. The 23-year-old Wang showed a few nerves on her maiden singles tour final and levelled after breaking her opponent in the second set. But Vondrousova, who also beat Australian Open champion Madison Keys in the first round and world number one Aryna Sabalenka in the semi-final in Berlin, raced back with true breaks of her own to go 4-1 up in the decider and didn't look back from there. Now, still on grass, American McCartney Kessler secured her third career title, defeating Ukraine's Diana Yamstremska 6-4-7-5 in a rain-interrupted Nottingham Open final. Kessler, who recorded her first main draw tour-level win on grass earlier this month at Queens, dominated the match from the outset and sealed victory in 1 hour and 34 minutes. She's super excited to have another title and got into another final. A great week of tennis. She wanted to start by congratulating her opponent, The 25-year-old American outperformed Yastremska on serve in the first set, winning 70 of her 25 points. So brilliant performance there. And she, of course, also is having a wonderful run on grass ahead of the championships at Wimbledon in a week's time. Golf news over the weekend, and a US Ryder Cup captain Keegan Bradley won the Travelers' Championship for the second time in 3 seasons in a dramatic last-hole birdie, denying England's Tommy Fleetwood his first PGA Tour victory. Bradley, who was trailing Fleetwood by 1 at the 18th, dropped his approach to 6 feet while Fleetwood was short of the green. He left himself a par putt from just inside 7 feet, then missed it to the right. Bradley then sank his tension-packed birdie putt for the title, shooting a 2 under par 68 to finish 72 holes at 15 under 265, and beat Fleetwood and American Russell Henley by 1 stroke at the TPC River Highlands in Cromwell in Connecticut. The world number 21, the 2023 Travelers winner Bradley, marked the 1-year anniversary of being told he was this year's Ryder Cup captain, with a victory that prompted more questions about him playing against Europe in September at Bethpage Black. Go USA was his only reply. The 39-year-old from nearby Vermont treats the lone PGA event in New England as his home tournament. Bradley, who sank a 64-foot birdie putt on the 9th hole, won his 8th major PGA title, including a win in his major debut at the 2011 PGA Championship. For Fleetwood, though, the Paris Olympic runner-up, ranked at 17th in the world, it was another crushing failure after 7 DP World Tour wins, but nothing on the PGA Tour, settling for a 42nd career top 10 PGA finish. Rather disturbing. Fleetwood made a bogey at the par 3 16th after missing the green, and again at the 18th to suffer heartbreak after leading for most of the day. So one man's disappointment, another man's smile. And Victor Hovland was also forced to withdraw from the event due to a neck injury. During the final round yesterday, he appeared to be in pain on his opening tee shot, although he made par on the first hole, bogeyed the second before having to leave. The 7-time PGA Tour winner shot 7 under 63 on Saturday and entered the Sunday final round looking for a top 10 finish in the PGA Tour's final signature event of the year. So a disappointment for Victor Hovland. However, it was a great day for the Australian Min Ji Lee, who fired a gritty 2 over par 74 and won the Women's PGA Championship, capturing her 3rd major title by 3 strokes on another demanding day in Texas at a trophy that's almost the same size as her. The 29-year-old, who certainly doesn't sound by her name that she comes from Perth, added the title to her 2021 Evian Championship and the US Women's Open title she won in 2022, finishing with a 4 under par total, 284. American Austin Kim and Thailand's Chanati Wanasian tied for second, 1 under at 287. Now, the golf schedule for this week. There was no DP World Tour this weekend because that was incorporated in the GA. Sees the Italian Open. That gets underway on Thursday, and then also underway on Thursday in Detroit at the Detroit Golf Club. It's the PGA's Rocket Classic. And then on the 3rd of July, the BMW International in Munich on the DP World Tour, the John Deere Classic on the US PGA Tour. Yes, you know what I'm leading up to. The Scottish Open, followed by the Open. So lots of fantastic golf coming up in the next month, culminating in just on a month's time when we will be reporting on the British Open, the Open Golf Championship for the Claret Jug. And that, of course, this year will be played on, as it always is, in obviously in the United Kingdom, and it will be played a links golf course, and it is one of those really trying and testing tournaments, the Open at the Royal Portrush Golf Club, Dunluce Links in Portrush. Always a wonderful test of golf and one of the all-time favorite tournaments to watch on television. Right, motorsport this weekend, and Marc Marquez is the man on two wheels again. He won the Italian Moto GP to complete a perfect weekend at Mugello, continuing his bid for a seventh elite world title. The Ducati rider came through a brilliant early battle with his brother Alex in second, and teammate Francesco Bagnaia to extend his championship lead over his sibling to 40 points after also winning Saturday's sprint race. The 32-year-old started on pole but didn't have it all his own way, not securing first place until lap 9 as he and Alex Marquez and Bagnaia exchanged the lead with thrilling riding. He did claim his fifth maiden win from 9 Grand Prix in what has been a dream first campaign with Ducati's factory team and his first victory at Mugello since 2014. He said he already understood in the morning that it was special for him, even because he feels part of them and he's super, super happy. He is already the hot favourite to draw level with great rival Valentino Rossi on 7 world crowns and move one behind all-time great record holder Giacomo Agostini. That would be a bitter pill to swallow for the retired Rossi, who has openly called Marquez a dirty rider who actively worked to stop him from winning what would have been his 8th world title a decade ago. Italian motorcycle fans still blame Marquez for crashing into Rossi in that year's penultimate Malaysian Moto GP, even though their hero was the one punished by having to start the final race of 2015 at the back of the grid, virtually guaranteeing Lorenzo the title. Marquez was loudly booed by a significant portion of the Mugello crowd after yesterday's sprint race, to the point that team manager David Tadozzi stormed over to the stands to tell the fans to shut up. But the local supporters cheered him on the podium after he pulled even further away from local hero Bagnaia, a two-time world champion who's now 110 points off the pace in the standings after his 4th place finish. Schedule for this week, motorsports, they're all moving to Assen for the Dutch Grand Prix on Sunday. And then they're in Austria this weekend for the Red Bull Ring Spielberg Austrian Grand Prix, where all you most probably are going to see is going to be orange in the crowds. Obviously, a Max Verstappen track, a Red Bull track. It's their home race. It's just right across the way on the border of the Netherlands. So it should be an absolutely brilliant Verstappen weekend, to say the least. Right, let's have a look at some cricket, shall we? Over the weekend, there was quite a bit of cricket, and the cricket was involved, of course, England, India, as well as the ladies, the South African ladies, the Proteas, and they were very good in their first T20, but they weren't so good last night. A half-century from the West Indian women's captain Hayley Matthews led her team to a series-levelling 6-wicket win over the Proteas in the second T20 International at the 3Ws Oval in Cave Hill in Barbados. Matthews was a class apart all the others on the day. She spearheaded the chase, cracking an unbeaten 63 or 56 balls, 5 fours and a 6 as they reached their below-par target of 114 in the final over. In South Africa's innings, they found runs hard to come by, and only top scorer Annelie Dirksen, who got 21, scored at above a run a ball, while Nadine de Klerk was the only other batter to get out of the teens, as South Africa scored only 113 for 6 in 20 overs. West Indies were led by their spinners, Afi Fletcher, 2 for 13, and Karishma Ramarat, who took 2 for 25, while Matthews was impressive with 1 for 15. Difficult day for the Protea ladies after a very, very good win in the one-day internationals, with runs coming from Tasman Brits and others. Brits and Class were the two big ones there. So South Africa will be looking to bounce back as far as the cricket is concerned. The ladies are in action tonight for the third T20 International, which will decide the competition. And then starting on Wednesday, Sri Lanka play Bangladesh, and then the first test match on Wednesday sees the West Indies up against Australia. That should be a nice one as well. West Indies not the best test team in the world at the moment. Australia coming off the loss in the World Test Championship. And, of course, a couple of days later, the World Test Champions themselves will be taking on Zimbabwe. But currently on at the moment is the test match between England and India, delicately poised going into the fourth day with some outstanding batting. I use the word outstanding because big scores, really, really big scores in this one. When you consider the World Test Championship just a week ago, they couldn't get past lunch on day 4. Well, this one certainly, unless there's a massive collapse today. Let's look back at the weekend, though, because Indian fast bowler Jasprit Bumrah has suggested that fate played a part in England batsman Harry Brook's dismissal on 99, and makes it even worse on his home ground. A gripping first test has taken another intriguing twist. The dynamic Brooks slammed Prashid Krishna for 6 in the first over of Sunday's play, advanced down the pitch to drive Bumrah, the world's top-ranked test bowler, through the covers for a sensational 4. But on the verge of his 9th century in 26 tests, but only second on home soil, the 26-year-old pulled Krishna to Shardul Thakur in the deep, and while though Brook batted, he also had a couple of lucky breaks. He had not yet got off the mark when he was caught off a miscued hook against Bumrah in the last over of Saturday's play, only for technology to reveal the Indian fast bowler had bowled a no ball that spared the England rising star from being out for a duck. Yesterday, he was dropped on 46 and 82, wicketkeeper Rishabh Pant failing to hold a thin edge of left-arm spinner Ravindra Jadeja, before Bumrah was the unlucky bowler when Yashav Jaiswal floored a two-handed chance at fourth slip. Brook's innings helped England to a total of 465, just 6 behind on the first innings, with Bumrah easily India's best bowler, once again taking a fifer, 5 for 83 in 24 overs and 4 balls. India ended the third day 96 runs ahead on 90 for 2 to leave the first test of the 5-match series still very much in the balance. And clearly you need to be, I guess the word is sort of threatened, whether it be in the media or just by reading newspapers and so on, because one of the keys of this test match, of course, was the fact that Pope was so often being touted as they got to drop him, they got to this, Ollie Pope, they got to this, they got to that. And in the end of the day, I guess that spurred him on, because he was quite brilliant, was Ollie Pope in his innings in the match against India. So that's the kind of thing that you need. A little bit of inspiration, perhaps, to go through. Who knows what exactly was going through his mind when he went out to bat. But in the innings, Ollie Pope got 106, 62 for Ben Duckett, and 99 for Harry Brook. Jamie Smith got 40. Ben Stokes got 20. Very, very patient innings by Stokes of 52 deliveries. Chris Wokes, 38 of 55, and Bryden Caswade in with 22, 465 all out. That was in reply to India's first innings total of 471 all out, with big hundreds, 3 of them. One from Jaiswal got 101, 147 for Subman Gill, and 134 for Rishabh Pant. They will be very, very happy with that performance, and they are currently 90 for the loss of 2 going into day 4. Delicately poised, great test match cricket. And wonderful stuff indeed. You're listening to the edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room. We'll have more for you after these.
Couples who've been together 25 years still don't always reach this place, because it isn't about time. It's about intention. It's about choosing connection, even when it's inconvenient, even when ego wants to win, even when the silence feels safer than saying, I still choose you.
In episode 74 of Unique Yet Connected podcast, we explore what it really takes to reach the perfect relationship. Not perfect by society's lens, but perfect in presence, in truth, in choosing love on purpose. This one will stay with you, whether you are loving, leaving, or learning to love better.
Episode 74 is uploading on 29th June 2025 from 10 a.m. South African Standard Time on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and on our website www.uniqueyetconnected.com.
Because connection isn't a destination, it is a daily decision.
Remember to subscribe, share, like, and engage with us.
Hello, everybody. Join me on the next edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room when we speak to the Chief Executive Officer of the South African Cricketers Association. What are we talking about? Well, we'll be talking to Andrew Bretsky about the fact that South Africa are World Test Champions, how South Africa's format is affecting play here in South Africa, and of course the fact that South Africa will not play a Test match at home to show off that mace for an awful long time. That's the next edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room. Right, let's turn our attention now, shall we, to rugby, and let's congratulate the Springbok Sevens A team. They are the champions of Africa. The Rugby Africa Sevens Cup was played in Mauritius in Port Louis over the weekend, and yesterday Blitzbok's head coach Philip Snyman congratulated the Sevens A squad for their effort and application. They won the Mauritius tournament, played at the Le Bourdonnais Sports Club over the weekend, 26-12 victory over Madagascar in the final. They beat Zimbabwe 19-12 in the semis and the defending champions Uganda 26-0 in the quarterfinals. They had 8 players who are uncapped at the HSBC Sevens level, and they all fitted into the system. The team and the tournament took shape, and they wanted to give those players proper match time, as it does take a tournament or 3 before you're ready for the World Series, and they responded well. The African teams are very physical, which is always a tough challenge, and then they encountered Madagascar, who play like Fiji with their offloads in the final. That was a valuable learning curve for the new players. So well done, champions, South Africa. In Africa, champions of the world as well. Rugby World Cup champions, Sevens World Cup champions, Cricket World Cup champions. And the list goes on. Dricus du Plessis, world champion. Oh, there's a whole lot. Too many to mention. World's strongest man. We've got them all. Absolutely got them all. So amazing stuff. Amazing by South Africa. Right, let's get back to the rugby. And I did say in my preview on Friday ahead of the program that most probably the most difficult game of the British and Irish Lions tour was going to be the one against Argentina. And how right did I turn out to be? Because they lost. Now, Mario Itoje was long-tipped to be a Test captain, but had to bide his time before being handed 2 giant roles within the space of a month. The England skipper and the leadership of the British and Irish Lions. Itoje captained England under 20s to a world title in 2014. As he rose through the ranks, it was clear that the Saracens' lock was no ordinary player. A constant threat of the breakdown, outstanding at the line-outs and punishing in defence. The physically powerful Itoje had all the skills required of a modern-day flanker, a position where he won some of his early caps as well as at second row. Well, he wasn't so great in terms of his first job as the Lions captain by virtue of that they lost. Andy Farrell insisted he would demand an improved performance from his British and Irish Lions when they arrived in Australia. 28-24 defeat by Argentina. They lost their second half fight back, were cut short by Santiago Cordero's match-winning try for the Pumas just on the stroke of the hour. Farrell's squad, comprised of leading players from England, Scotland, Ireland and Wales. They're in Australia. They faced the Perth-based Western Force in the first of several warm-up games ahead of 3 Test series with the Wallabies. Argentina, ranked 5th in the world, had already defeated France, New Zealand, Australia, and world champion South Africa in the past 12 months. Pumas, who are tough opponents for a scratch Lions side, playing their first match of the tour. But Lions head coach Farrell seconded to the combined side from his day job as island boss refused to cite a lack of cohesion as the reason for his side's error-strewn display in front of a sold-out Aviva Stadium. Congratulations to Argentina, he said. They thoroughly deserve to win the match. He's sure that's a big moment in Argentinian rugby history. I guess they're going to say, yeah, it wasn't a Test match and it was just a warm-up game and the tour really starts when they get to Australia. But well done, Argentina. Now, the All Blacks have named 5 debutants in their squad, a 33-man squad that is, skippered by Scott Barrett for the 3 tests against France, as Dalton Papali'i, Ethan Blackadder and David Havili all missed out. The new faces include forwards Brodie McAllister, Ollie Norris, Fabian Holland, and Du Plessis-Kirifi, along with wing Timoki Tavatanawai. I hope I got his name right. Robertson said the lineup for tests next month in Dunedin, Wellington and Hamilton was a balance of continuity and opportunity. For the 5 uncapped players, it's a particularly special day. The players have all impressed with their talent and work ethic, earned their opportunity to be part of this All Black squad that he has announced. The All Blacks also welcome back hooker Sambisoni Tukalahu and centre Quinn Tupai, who have not featured since 2023 and 2022. Scott Barrett retains the captaincy, while brother Jamie and veteran flanker Adi Sevilla are his deputies. Right, football now as we wrap up our review of the weekend, and there was lots of footballing action. Let's go through the results for you at the Club World Championships. And those results in no particular order. We'll go from the results overnight and work our way back through the weekend, including, of course, Sundown's match. Interesting game between Manchester City and Al Ain. Now, you might ask, why do I say an interesting match? Man City won 6-0. Well, I'll tell you why. Because the owner of Manchester City is the son of the owner of Al Ain. And the son taught the dad a thing or two in the match yesterday. Of course, the Saudis, wealthy as they are, owning football clubs all around the world. Manchester City 6, Al Ain 0. The other game last night, RB Salzburg and Al Hilal drew 0-0. That's in the early hours of this morning. Then last night, previous year's final repeat, saw Real Madrid beat Pachuca of Mexico 3-1. Juventus 4, Wydad Athletic Club 1. River Plate and Monterrey drew 0-0, while Fluminense beat Ulsan 4-2. Inter Milan 2, Urawa Red Diamonds 1. Mamelodi Sundowns and Borussia Dortmund played out an absolute epic 7-goal thriller. Dortmund winning 4-3. And you very, in fact, almost never hear this Ronwen Williams name coming up as the villain, but he certainly played his part in the loss for Sundowns. No one's going to blame him, though, but I mean, even so, a poor performance by him. Bayern Munich 2, Boca Juniors 1, and LA Football Club 0, Esperance 1. What does that mean as far as the competition is concerned? Well, they now move on to the last round of matches, and they play it at the same time, so there can be no skullduggery as the teams are vying for the last 16. I'll go through those fixtures for you in a minute, but let me just tell you what's going on in the group. So in Group A, it's pretty much Palmeiras and Inter Miami who are in pole position. They both have 4 points from their 2 games. Porto and Al Ahly have 1 point from their 2 matches. So there's still a chance for Porto and Al Ahly to get through to the next round. Group B, guaranteed is Botafogo, and then it's everything to play for between Paris Saint-Germain and Atletico Madrid. They both have 3 points, and Seattle Sounders are out. In Group C, Bayern Munich also guaranteed to go through, just whether it's top of the group or not. Benfica in second place, most probably through, because Boca Juniors have 1 point, and Auckland City, an amateur club, are yet to get off the mark. Not so close in Group D for Chelsea and Esperance, but Flamengo have played 2-1-2. Chelsea Esperance have got 3 points apiece. Los Angeles Football Club are out. River Plate have 4 points. Inter Milan have 4 points. Monterrey 2, and Urawa Diamonds yet to get off the mark. And then in Group F, which is Fluminense 4, Dortmund 4, and Mamelodi Sundowns 3. So lots to play for in that group as well. Ulsan will go home. Group G, Juventus and Manchester City are through. Wydad and Al Ain are out. They're both through, Juventus and Man City. And then in Group H, Real Madrid 4 points, Salzburg 4 points, and Al Hilal 3 points. The beaten finalists last year, Pachuca, they've played 2, lost 2. They are out of the competition and will not feature in the knockout phase. So we now get to the matches tonight, played at the same time in each group, as I say. 9 o'clock sees Atletico Madrid play at Botafogo, while Seattle Sounders play Paris Saint-Germain. Then tomorrow in the early hours of the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, it's FC Porto against Al Ahly and Inter Miami against Palmeiras. And then at the same time tomorrow evening at 9 o'clock, Auckland City play Boca Juniors and Benfica play Bayern Munich. Wednesday sees Esperance play Chelsea and LA Football Club play Flamengo, and then great for South African fans and African fans, but let's be honest, Borussia Dortmund play Ulsan and Sundowns play Fluminense, and both those games on Wednesday evening kick off at a respectable time of 9 o'clock. However, let's get used to it here in Southern Africa and in Africa, because the World Cup is going to be played at exactly the same times as they're currently playing the club championships. That is tonight's edition of From the Boardroom to the Locker Room. Join us again for our next episode when we'll be speaking to Andrew Bretsky of the South African Cricketers Association, all about the World Test Championship victory. And I have loads of other questions for him now that South Africa are World Test champions. How is our franchise system going to be changed, if at all? And also the fact that South Africa don't play a home test and nobody at home can see them for what will seem like an eternity. That's tonight's show. Be nice to each other. Talk to you again next time. Bye for now.